to share some words with us.
It's very hard for me to be up here today, so please forgive me. I wrote a pre-written letter, and I'm just going to read it. And Father Francesco, I will try to be quick, I promise. And I need my glasses. I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. Your presence and prayers and love have been a profound consolation to our family, so we're deeply grateful. You know, looking back at Michael's life as a mother produces so many different emotions. His birth took us on an unexpected journey that turned our world upside down. When you get married as a young couple, you never dream of the potential trials ahead, but face the future with a hopeful heart. But these experiences have brought both bitter and sweet emotions. Bitter because there's no greater pain than to watch your child suffer. But joy because God's presence has been undeniable and no amount of pain can take that away. We were in our mid-20s when Michael was born to us. We had to learn to care for a little infant that relied on a machine to breathe for him and master every bell and whistle attached to him because his life depended upon it. Our home was filled with constant presence of nurses morning, noon, and night. And after a year, we couldn't do it without them. And we had to jump up at odd hours in the night to rush him to the hospital because even with the ventilator, he was still struggling to breathe. This became a normal routine for us. We fell asleep each night not knowing if he would live to see tomorrow. And despite these incredible challenges, God has always been very near to us. I saw love bursting out of people's hearts. Compassion came to life, empathy and concern and goodness in ways that inspired and humbled me. I could literally write a book on the many examples of the kindness that was poured into our lives by so many people. Once Michael was stable enough to travel, we began our many trips to Seattle Children's Hospital for his titanium rib implants and expansions. Over the course of 19 years, he endured 30 invasive thoracic procedures, all to create space for a chest cavity that could not grow on its own. As he grew older, our fear of uncertainty gradually eased, and we clung to the hope of a bright future despite the odds being against him. Nearly 80% of children born with this illness die at infancy. Michael was in so many ways like any other child. He rode his bike, played games, fought with his sister, and did his chores. He was charismatic, charming, funny, and full of life. He kept the disappointments he felt deeply hidden and never once showed any sign of distress. I came across a notebook in his elementary school years in which he expressed deep sadness about his inability to keep up with his peers. Despite undergoing so many surgeries, his lung function remained significantly lower than his peers, and breathing for him was always a struggle. It's comparable to running a marathon at high altitudes at all times. In spite of this, he did not sink into despair, but faced fatigue with constant determination and resolve. In all his years of suffering, I never once heard Michael complain, not once. He made no room for self-pity. He embraced everything as an opportunity for growth. He was academically gifted, highly driven, and he pursued excellence. Education mattered deeply to him. His dream was to earn a doctorate in science so that he can work in a lab developing ethical solutions to prevent genetic disease. I have no doubt that he would have accomplished this. Dinner table conversations often sounded like a college lecture, with Michael effortlessly diving into cellular and molecular biology. It usually went over my head, but I couldn't have been prouder of him. I think Michael also took joy in the fact that though his body faced limits, his mind was keen. In high school, he challenged himself with every AP class available at Oregon City High School, and he maintained a high GPA and earned a full-ride scholarship to George Fox University, where he continued his studies online despite his medical decline. Even after major surgeries, he could be found on a laptop in the hospital bed, determined to keep up with his coursework. He proudly earned a spot on the dean's list every semester and told us that more certificates were on the way. Despite having so much difficulty breathing, he pushed through and was able to convince so many people around him that all was well. He loved go-karting with his buddies, fishing, riding his scooter to Aunt Nellie's to watch their favorite movies together. He made time for both his grandmas and was always such a good listener. He always had a smile on his face and a joke on the tip of his tongue. Michael was also deeply spiritual and possessed wisdom far beyond his years. He knew the catechism thoroughly, quoted scripture with ease, and often listened to Father Mike Schwitt's podcast for guidance. During the height of the COVID pandemic, as fear gripped the world, Michael looked at me one day and said, "Mom, the only thing I fear is offending God." Imagine what our world would look like if all of us lived this way. In his final days, visitors came constantly, and with his last ounce of strength, Michael continued teaching us about God, goodness, and eternal realities. When asked how he wanted to be remembered, this is what he said: "I want to be remembered for things that uplift people and help them carry their cross the right way, and to see the good that it can produce. When we pick up the burdens and trials of life and carry them with righteousness and nobility, they can become a sacrifice for the good of others, and in that way nothing is ever wasted. Our sufferings can be used as a grace to make us more holy and to make others around us more holy. Our burdens are not meaningless and teach us tremendous virtue and inevitably lead us straight to heaven. The journey I have traveled has taught me numerous virtues such as humility, compassion, fortitude, patience, and obedience, virtues I may not have learned or practiced had I lived a normal, healthy life. What I find extraordinary about Michael is not that he was born with a serious illness, because many children face all sorts of rare and devastating diseases. What's special about him is that what he did with it and how he came to embrace this courageous perspective. He embraced that which was difficult and allowed God to use it for great good, trusting in his love. And this he did by opening his heart to grace that God freely gives to any one of us who seeks him with a sincere heart. His faith was extraordinary, one that I will contemplate for the rest of my life. Michael taught us to have courage in the face of immense difficulty, resilience amid weakness, hope in moments of despair, and an unwavering trust in God's goodness. These are qualities that I need, that we need, that the world needs. He further writes, "I had a plan. I wanted so badly to continue my education and learn how to use science to prevent life-threatening illnesses. I never wanted another child to suffer like I had to, but this dream was ripped away from me. We all have a vocation, a calling from God. Vocations are blessing because they produce grace and they have the power to refine our hearts so that we can become mere images of Christ. That's the whole purpose of our existence. That's the meaning of life, to become like Jesus. The journey I am on now is so much better than the journey I wanted to be on, because you saved so many more people on this journey. I wanted to help people in the medical world, but on this journey that I am on now, I'm helping so many more people on another level, on a spiritual level, by helping people refine their hearts and ready themselves for heaven." Michael knew that his time was short, so he asked me to leave you with this final message. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for walking with me on my journey of life. Your consistent camaraderie sustained me all my life. To my parents and siblings, words cannot explain how grateful I am for your unending love, unconditional love and care for me from beginning to end. My love for you does not cease with the expiration of my body, but rather lives on in soul and spirit for eternity. I will always be with you and will forever be your advocate. People like Michael, who are helplessly born into this world, frail and weak in body, by their mere vulnerability, challenge the self-centered tendencies of the human heart. They invite us to bring comfort, care, and healing. They compel us to step beyond ourselves, to extend patience, compassion, and selfless love in ways we might never otherwise discover. In their need, they teach us to love more deeply, more fully, and more sacrificially. Through this, those who suffer not only receive care, but they awaken the best within us, turning human frailty into a pathway for spiritual growth and the cultivation of love. Lastly, I would like to say, from a mother to a mother, we live in a world that is so scared in participating in the creation of human life. so afraid of surrendering our plans and opening ourselves to God, so hesitant in trusting that God will provide. Every single human life, every single child is so precious to God because it is His creation, and He loves all His creation with a love that is unimaginable to most of us. And for this reason, we as a culture and we as individuals must do everything within our means to preserve and to protect every single human child, and to embrace them with a love no matter what state they are given to us in, because embracing a child means to embrace God. He Himself said it in His very own words, "Whatever you do to the least of my brothers, you've done to me." Michael himself understood this concept so well. In his latter days, I was having to bathe him, and I told him that I was so sorry that it had come to this, that I had to wash his behind as a teenager, and how it must have been so uncomfortable to accept this. He said to me, "It's okay, Mom. You're really washing Jesus's behind." So, you see, all this time I was really loving Jesus. All this time you were really extending compassion to Jesus. And by doing this, we fulfill the greatest commandment of all, which is to love one another as I have loved you. Jesus laid down His whole life for us. He surrendered everything completely. So God help us all to lay down our lives, our struggles, our hopes, our fears, our plans, our dreams, and lay everything at His feet and surrender it all, because what He has planned for us is so much greater than anything we could ever come up with on our own. His ways always lead to love. Love for ourselves, love for our spouses, love for our children, love for our neighbor, love for a stranger, love for the vulnerable, but ultimately love for God. And I just want to end with a poem that I found in Michael's writings. He has many writings. It's going to take me time to go through it, but this meant something to him, and it really reflects him. I asked for strength that I might achieve. I was made weak that I would learn humbly to obey. I asked for health that I might do great things. I was given infirmity that I might do better things. I asked for riches that I might be happy. I was given poverty that I might be wise. I asked for power that I might have the praise of men. I was given weakness that I would feel the need of God. I asked for all things that I might enjoy life. I was given life that I might enjoy all things. I got nothing that I had asked for, but everything that I had hoped for. Almost despite myself, my unspoken prayers were answered. I am blessed among all men. Thank you.